bring the, what the hell is today's date? 25th of February Finance Committee meeting to order. Do we have any public comments?
Steve? No?
Come on, Steve. Don't let us down.
The town is closed due to snow.
Steve Sherlock, Franklin Matters, Franklin Public Radio, 13 Magnolia Drive. Should have said that first, sorry.
That's okay.
Not prepared, but it's always good to thank you for doing what you're doing and for your proper use of mics. I'm gonna have to go to another committee, and I won't name them because I don't want to get them alarmed, but they are abusing the use of their mics, so I'm getting questions, text things, etc. Are you in the meeting? Can you tell them to use their mics? No, I wasn't in the meeting, I was in another one. So thank you for using your mics properly, because then the recording is easy to listen to, and you don't have to try and figure out what were they saying. So thank you.
True that.
Anyone on, oh, there's people. Anyone in Zoom wants to make a comment? Don't see any hands. Next order, January 14th minutes.
I know that.
Motion to approve.
Motion. Second. Second.
Roll call is required because we have someone on Zoom.
Mr. Barnes?
Yep, just give me a moment. He has to be a panelist.
Okay.
I will start with Zoom. So the motion has been made to approve the minutes in second. Oh, John, did you just drop off?
No, he's there.
No,
He's
now
actually there.
he's on.
Oh, okay, now he's on there. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Ryan? Yes. Great. Okay, motion approved. What are we, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nothing.
Okay. Joint Budget Committee nominate the four members. Since we're missing, one announcement from the chair, how's that? Jamie and I got an email this morning from Bill Batchelor. He has resigned from the committee due to work commitments, the desire to spend, he has 12 grandkids and one granddaughter, or one great-granddaughter. So he has resigned effective this morning. So we're at 9 and we'll start the search 8, that's what I'm sorry. Do you have a stash of people?
We we're
I haven't got anything for Julie.
we did email my staff member
Yep.
who's going to get back to us. I think there are 1 or 2 other people that have applied, but we have to double check.
It would be nice to fill it before the budget time.
Yeah,
That would be the
agreed.
goal.
Okay,
That would be the goal.
I'll work on it.
But, do you guys understand, those here, what the joint budget subcommittee doesn't do? Right now, it has typically been the chairman, vice chair, and clerk, which typically signals longest time here. We need one more member. It's 4 members from the finance committee, 4 from the town council, 3 from the school committee, mainly so that you don't have open meeting law issues. Because if we put a 5th member of the council here, then it becomes a meeting and you got all that stuff to go through. So, is this necessary tonight? We don't even know. We're short, and if someone has some, I want to be on it stuff, then we can do it.
Yeah.
So, you guys, it's the last run around, which I don't think will happen again, but was the 6 meetings held around town, the Elks, the Remington School, Washington Street School, that, I don't think that will happen again. Very, very time consuming. They ran 3 hours typically. From my observations, we had the same people moving from meeting to meeting. So I don't think we hit as many people as we could have, and I don't know. I have no idea how you do it. I ask all the time and there's no way. But if anybody is really interested, we can vote it tonight. Or I propose staying chair, vice chair, and clerk. It's not cast in stone, but, so speak up if you have an interest.
I'm happy to join, but I don't know. Like, the level of conviction you're looking for, I might not have, but I'm happy to join.
But Jamie.
So, through Mr. Chairman, so, the 3 school committee members, I think, have been acknowledged. The 4 counselors were acknowledged, but there'll be a more formal, kind of committee assignments, in another week, another month or so. I don't think that what happened last year is gonna be a repeat, so I don't think it's gonna be like, listening to our roadshow thing. I think, but I will say, like, I don't really know the meeting schedule. I think a lot's gonna be up in the air on everything, especially with what's going on outside until May or June. I think the focus of the committee in the future likely will be how to solve this problem, longer term. So, I don't know what the schedule of meetings are gonna be. I also don't have an assistant town manager, so I'm being pulled into economic development. They're gonna do a town charter ad hoc committee review. I mean, all of these take a lot of time, so I don't know if the commitment is gonna be, I would theorize that probably the summer and beyond would be more of the important meetings about how to figure out what to do for the longer term, so. And you need 4 people just to fill the group, so it would be preferred if the 4 people were selected tonight. And it would be preferred that whoever they are stay in continuity for a couple years, right? Because I think this is gonna be a long-term, discussion, about how to exactly solve the structural budget deficit, so, if that helps at all.
I think your last statement made it 2 available, 2 spots we're gonna need.
Well, if you said if the chair, vice chair, and clerk stay. If
By definition, by whoever sits in the chair,
Yeah, sure.
'cause I'm not sure,
I know where you're going.
yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
I'm toying seriously with making this, even my term doesn't expire until 27, I
I think
think.
so, yeah.
Mhm.
But, I'm old. And, although
Yeah,
I
you're here
love-
in person
I
and-
love
yeah.
this, I'm
Yeah.
here all the time, I've
Yeah.
missed one meeting in
Yeah,
10 or 11 years, so.
it's for good reason too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's for good reason.
Jen?
So can we do the 4 and then maybe an alternative? Would that be, in case someone can't make it, so that we're always represented?
You could do that.
I
Don't
mean,
see
that
any
way,
reason.
that
Don't see
way,
any
just
reason why
in
not.
case, you know what I mean, there's a change, there's still some continuity.
Mhm.
Because that person who's the alternative would still be engaged in some capacity. So that would be my recommendation, just to make sure that the
It-
board
it
is
makes
represented.
Perfect
Great.
sense, perfect sense. So, are you volunteering?
No, it was not volunteering.
You know,
I-
she got that one on
Just to be
the
clear.
I will volunteer to be alternative if no one else wants it, because, I don't wanna I'm new, so if anyone else wants to shine, you should shine bright. But I will happily take alternative if no one else wants it. Yes.
I think
love
honestly,
that.
both of you would be great as being on the board, being as part of the committee, and then being an alternative. I think that's perfect.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that by definition, the chair, vice chair,
Clerk.
and clerk are members, with Ryan, sitting member, and Jen, the alternate member.
Perfect.
And then if one of us can't make the meeting, then you can just fill in.
Mhm.
It's nothing that, it was an adventure to say the least, but there were some votes taken, but I guess the word would be non-binding. So I'll make that as a motion.
Second?
In favor?
That's what you roll it.
Yes, we do have to roll. Is John still on? John, you're still on? Hi.
Yeah.
Someone,
Yeah. Now,
yeah, so he made the motion, I seconded it.
yeah.
Got it. So roll call, John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
I'm a yes?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jen? Great, thank you.
That's good, that's good. Okay, now the fun of the night, purchase options for a $1 million fire truck, or thereabouts.
Correct. So I did, send out a memo and included it in the packets on some financing options for the purchase of a new fire engine. Chief Helen is here, as well as deputy, to explain why we need one, if you would like that information. And then we can kind of get into how we want to pay for it.
Chief?
Good evening, Chuck Allen, Fire Chief. I'm joined this evening by Jim Klitsch, Deputy Chief of Operations. Unfortunately, we have a 2013 Pierce & Pell fire engine that has, under a routine safety inspection, we found that it had advanced frame corrosion to the point where the vehicle was no longer safe to operate. So we had to take it out of service. As we've probably discussed in the past, that these vehicles are very difficult to acquire. So we were able to find a demo model that was available that would suit our needs to replace this immediately. The typical turnaround time to replace a vehicle is upwards of 3+ years if you were to order one and have it manufactured. So this is kind of a one-time opportunity for us to be able to replace this. It is a vital piece of equipment, and unfortunately the one we have is not safe to put back in service, so it's been taken out of service completely.
So-
Just one quick question. I know it's Rescue 1's out of service. Is that truck gonna survive this whole thing?
I think so. This engine,
so.
yeah, this engine was, I think that one was kind of really on the cusp, the Rescue was on the cusp of the end of the frame rail issue. So a bit of background, we purchased 2 fire trucks back in '21 for this very issue with another Pierce vehicle that we had. And we had the opportunity to replace 2 at the time. And we replaced a 20-year-old apparatus and that 2007 Pierce Quantum. There was a generation of fire apparatus from about 2007 to somewhere around the late teens that experienced this advanced frame corrosion. There's been multiple lawsuits across the country with fire departments and communities that have had issues with them. We identified this vehicle back then when we purchased those 2 vehicles as having some frame corrosion, but it wasn't extensive at that time to take it out of service. So we kind of monitored it, we put it on the back burner.
Hey,
and,
Steve.
And now we're
Steve.
and so we kind of put it back, we moved the replacement of that apparatus, which was gonna be in '23 up to '28. So we thought we'd get a little bit more time out of it, but unfortunately, it's advanced much faster than we thought that it would. It was a little bit unexpected, so it is an issue, but.
So what I'm asking the finance committee tonight to do is review the options that I've put out there, and you can absolutely come up and discuss other options. And the goal is to make a recommendation tonight to present to the town council at their next meeting, just so that you understand.
It's just a question. How many trucks do you actually have?
So we have 3 regular pumpers. We have a rescue pumper, and the new tower truck and the old tower 2. Those are our frontline apparatus, so.
So 5 total? 6 total?
Six total. I mean, there's other vehicles, obviously, but as far as like heavy apparatus, that's it, yeah.
The one we'd be replacing, the one that has the frame corrosion, is the one that is basically our current spare.
Yeah.
If one of the other 2 front line go out of service, this is the one that would have to move up. So currently, we actually have, although we have 6 where everything has its own use, or its own, a ladder versus an engine that carries water, we only have the 2 engines at our disposal.
Gotcha.
The heavy rescue is a heavy rescue. It does have water, thankfully, if we need to use it as a pump.
So of the remaining 5, which is the oldest or next to go if you're?
This would be the one. This is the oldest pumper that we have.
No, sorry,
Yeah.
like, ignoring that one.
Ignoring that one, that would be the Ferrara. I think that's a 2017,
2019, actually.
2019, so, yeah.
Okay, so still feeling like.
Still a young vehicle, yeah. It's still in great shape. The reason this vehicle is so critical that usually typically what happens is that a modern day fire apparatus, the first 5 years of their life, they're pretty flawless. And then they start to get in their maintenance years, which is what we're experiencing now with the 21s that we own. So they do have extended downtime when they get pumps repaired, or, we had engine 2 recently was out of service for a couple of months. This particular vehicle, the one we need to replace, was in service for 2 months at a time during that time. So it's critical that we have it available. The plan would be for us with this is to take that 21, move it into reserve status, move this new vehicle into frontline status, and really extend the life of the fleet a lot longer than we would have otherwise. So this will put the town in a great position for years going forward to have good quality fire apparatus without having to go through this again anytime soon, hopefully.
Gotcha, cool.
Thanks, George. Hi, just a couple questions. Issuance cost, the difference, do you know about which for the bond and the man?
Yep,
Sorry.
So the issuance cost, when we purchased the aerial ladder truck in 2023, it was $45,000. So the issuance cost, what that means is I have a financial advisor, a bond counsel, the S&P rating call that we have to do, and there's some other documentation, and all those fees added up to about $45,000.
Okay. And
So that's for our bond.
And then the ban, is there?
There isn't any issuance
No.
cost, they're very minimal. I
Okay.
think there's none at all, to be honest.
And then to either one, and this is probably her too, sorry. Prepay penalty for either one if we pay over the amount, does either ban or bond have a prepay penalty? Or
So a bond, you cannot do that
Okay.
with, only a ban we can prepay if we come into some available funds and we want to pay off the principal or pay it down, that can be done.
Okay, perfect, thank you, I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Sorry, thanks. I have a couple questions. How much would a new truck cost?
The new truck is $935,000.
Oh, but I thought that was like
Well, if we were to try and
Just
buy.
go out, yeah.
Yeah, we'd be looking at probably 1.1 million.
Gotcha.
The problem with that is that they're not available.
Yeah.
And the manufacturers, that's a today price. They were pretty candid with us that expect a 1% a month increase, no price guarantee, and you could be in the line of 1.2, 1.3. There's a community close to us that they know they're not gonna get the vehicle for at least 3 years, and they put aside 1.5 to think that might be what it is, so. And then there's some emission standards too that kind of play into the game now. Also, we're coming into a time where in 2027, there's new federal emission standards on these vehicles, and they have not been designed yet as to how it's gonna fit into the vehicle. And they've told us that if this winds up being a vehicle that's on a 2027 chassis, expect an additional 100,000. So if it's a 1.1, we're probably 1.2. That's kind of really the reality of it.
Okay, that's just helpful, I knew they were really expensive, and it
Yeah.
seems like when you put this price out, I was like, well, that seems like a slam dunk, so.
The prices really jumped. We paid $540 a piece for the E1s, the 221s that we have now, and this is just in the past, less than 5 years. It's gone up $400,000 plus. It's just, but it's been all over the news. It's pretty wild. This has been an issue with a lot of these fire truck manufacturers. So.
Interesting. And then, that's a good question from Ryan about what the next oldest one is. How long do we expect the life to last, assuming you're gonna shuffle it into kind of in and out of rotation or whatever?
We keep them in frontline for 10 years, and then we move them into a reserve status for as long as we possibly can. We typically, on our chart, we keep them for 15, and then we plan a replacement. So, for an example, when we replaced those two in 21, one of the vehicles we replaced was 20 years old, because it still had life left in it. So we use it as long as we possibly could. We're gonna squeeze every dime out of it. But typically we kind of plan 10 years frontline, then it goes into reserve status, 5 years later replacement, and then we move forward, so.
Got it, okay, so thinking through if that 2019 was the next one, and I know it's gonna be a lot more money, you've got, let me just say, I was thinking like 15 years left?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 15 years that's left before you have to buy another one.
Yeah.
Just thinking about our options, it gives you 15 years of building up stabilization again. Okay, that's super helpful, thank you.
Was it 15 or is it only
Somehow I got there in my head.
it's like 19? It's already 7 years old.
It's 7 years old, and you said you
Yeah.
hope to make it,
3 more on the
my
front
bad.
line, hopefully.
And then another 10 years beyond that, so,
Okay. years,
13 years, okay. So that's all
The
short.
one advantage with that particular piece is where we normally run everything, as the chief said, 10 years frontline, is that was only frontline for 2 years before we bought the E1s. So there's a little bit less use on that
Yeah.
than they would normally have frontline. So it makes, right now, not so much a spare because we've repurposed it. It is set up as a heavy rescue to do like specialized rescue. But we should get a fair amount of life up to the 15 years, you know.
Great.
Out of that, maybe a little bit more because we didn't run it for 10 years,
Yeah.
every day, 24 hours a day.
That's like good and bad though, right? It's like, that's good, but then you have, like, after that one, the next one comes like 2 years later, and then you have 3 of them coming like a year after
Correct.
that. So there's
Yeah.
no like rebuilding the fund after that one.
Yeah, it's like figuring out how to time them, so you don't
Right.
have like what happened
This
last
actually
time.
puts us in
two
good
at
shape
once.
with those, because we bought those 2 at once, technically, they would come up at the same time.
Yeah.
So this does give us a little bit of a break, down the road, because they're not gonna come up at the same time now, we're gonna pull one of those and put it in reserve status, so we're gonna squeeze a little bit more time out of those, so.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
And you
Sure.
have a handout too.
Oh.
just as a-
You wanna be, go. Somebody talk, you, I,
No,
you
no,
had
no,
your
no.
hand up, no?
Oh, John has his hand up.
John.
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 Zoom land, let's do this.
John, go for it.
Yeah, so first off, apologies for not being there in person. You can probably hear from my voice. A little sick, decided not to infect you all with whatever it is that I have. But a couple of quick questions here. For the demo truck, how much wear and tear is already on that? And do we see that impacting the longevity or service life at all?
There's really none. Typically, this vehicle would have been manufactured, I think, in Iowa. So it has the mileage from here to there, which is typical in these, even if we ordered something, it has to get to the state. And then it's really just been brought to fire truck shows and some stations here. There has minimal mileage on it, really no wear. It's a beautiful truck. It would suit our needs perfectly. So there's really nothing that I can say that probably has any kind of wear and tear on it, really, but beyond bringing it to a fire truck show, so.
And it's not like, it hasn't been all over the country.
Yeah, it hasn't been driving everywhere.
It's just
It's a
local
local deal that
to
has it.
New England. So the shows I went to were all local shows, and as far as the manufacturer's concerned, it is a brand new truck, full, brand new warranties. The demo doesn't take anything out of the warranty equation.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming time is probably of the essence here. I'm assuming anyone else can also make an offer for this thing.
Yeah, typically what these dealers do is they'll order a spec truck. This truck was probably ordered a few years ago for this dealer. It comes in, they hold it for a while, they bring it to a show, they gain interest in it, and then they'll release it to the open market. And then, because their new truck is coming in for their next demo. We kind of hit this one dealer right at the right time. They'll hold this for us for 30 days, give or take a couple of weeks. And then it's supposed to go out to the open market. So time is of the essence for us. If it is the open market, it'll be gone in a minute. Just due to its price and the fact you can't get them. So, in fact, while we were looking at them, a local community bought the other demo that was available for the exact same problem. So.
Gotcha. And then, Karen, maybe this is a question for you. Just looking at the memo, option 1 on the long-term bond. I noticed we didn't apply the stabilization fund to that, and honestly, not sure if that makes sense if we're incurring $45,000 issuance costs. But is that an option that's available to apply that stabilization to lower the borrowing if we went out and did the bond?
Yes, John, it is, and that's a great question, thank you. So it is an option to do that as well and reduce it.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else?
Just a quick question, George.
Go ahead.
I think this one's for you now.
It's a long time till 10 o'clock.
No, this is it. I'm gonna stop talking so much. Any other anticipated needs? So when we're looking at the stabilization fund, obviously, that plays into it. Anything that you anticipate that we don't really wanna deplete that completely because of upcoming needs?
You never know when something would happen. I mean, I think it's always good to have money in the bank,
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now we're good, but I can't tell you that, something's not gonna happen or break that is gonna be expensive. These trucks are expensive.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if there was something else that you kind of been, and I don't love this phrase, but kicking kicking the can down the road a little
No, this
bit?
was the vehicle we were.
This was it,
This was
okay.
it, yeah, it
Okay.
was, so.
Thank you.
yeah.
And Jen, I just wanna make sure you understand, a stabilization fund can only, those funds can only be used for
Yeah,
fire trucks.
right.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure.
I
you
just wasn't sure
understand.
if there was other,
Other fire trucks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, not right
No,
now.
Okay.
good question, thank you.
I have one last question, sorry, before,
No,
because
go
I
ahead.
know you were waiting for last. I'm just curious, so these are either at 3 or 3.5%. What would these have been in the glory days? Because this is like terrible interest rates, right? And those are not
Correct.
terrible interest rates, so I'm just curious with what they would have been.
So, the one we bought recently was under 3%,
Yeah, okay.
that you all.
So that doesn't, I mean,
It's
3%
not-
seems pretty good in today's
Correct,
climate,
and
right?
this is through not just me, this is the financial advisor confirming that.
Mhm.
So short-term rates are a little higher right now, but they are coming down. So, you know, it's really not bad, 3%.
Okay, yeah,
but
just
it's-
curious.
It's just the overall hit to the operating budget that we should consider.
Do we have any debt that's rolling off?
Yes, not so much on the general fund side though. It's
Okay.
more on sewer and water, but sewer, the Beaver Street interceptor is coming on, so we have a debt exclusion coming off next year, and I think there's a couple other small ones, or maybe one on general operating, the DPW building.
I think everything's off, I think except for the high school, tri-county, and the other, the latter. I think Kerry's right, I'm gonna get them backwards. Either Keller Sullivan's coming off, or Horace Mann's coming off, or Horace Mann already came off, and Keller Sullivan's.
Correct.
One or the other, I just can't remember which one, but everything except for those 3 other expenditures will be off the books next year.
Got it, okay.
Questions? Question for Carrie about the financing options. The ban seems to be more cost effective in the short term. Is there a scenario in which the town utilizes that option for 1 or 2 years and then looks into a long-term bond?
That's a perfect question, and that is something, and that's why State House notes or a band barring, you know, anticipation note works. Because if you anticipate a larger borrowing coming up in the future, you can do a ban. I can roll it over year after year, and then when you do that large issuance, I can include it. So that is definitely something to think about when making a decision. Jamie may have a better understanding of future borrowing, but.
But I think to Chris's question, it's a great question, and it's also a great piece to show the financial tools in the toolbox, to use a cliche. You know, these are things we've done before, but you're right, Chris, if the finance committee or the council, the school committee were to go out and borrow money, if interest rates were to come down, back to the good old days again, you know, we could wrap this into, the remaining money we could wrap into any future borrowing.
We're anticipating borrowing, I'm guessing, for Remington's roof,
I think those-
probably, and
We'd
the
like to,
ever-elusive police station is in there too, right?
as well as Horace Mann needs some repairs.
Forget those schools are 20.
Well, Washington Street is 30 years old.
The high school's 10 already, right, or 11 now. Yeah.
That's great.
One other question on equipment. I perused your list. The only thing out there that's, at some point it's gonna come up is the 2 brush trucks, but those are minor
Yeah, minor.
relative to this, but they are
2004s.
2004s, 3s or 4s. So I mean,
We've put some money into keeping those going. I think we're in good shape with those right now.
We've been pushing those back as well,
Yeah.
just because they've been holding up. That there was
Okay,
no,
just thought-
for what their use is
Yeah.
out in the woods, you don't need anything fancy or new.
and the only other question I have is, by my calculations, we've spent, well, almost $2 million on the ladder truck. 1.4 4 on the two twin trucks, or thereabouts? Was it that high?
I wasn't thinking it was
One, I think.
One, I think, yeah.
Whatever.
Close.
Just say $1 million.
It's all right,
yeah.
Million here, million there. This is Congress, isn't it? And have we even looked at putting something at the DPW that will wash the bottom of these things? I mean, Brutus has bought umpteen trucks because they rust and they corrode and fall apart. Do we wanna be, and I understand there's a big money thing here, but it's something we ought to start looking at. I mean, we've got a fleet of, somebody's, what is it, 200 vehicles, thereabouts, between the police, fire, DPW, buses, and all kinds of stuff. To me, it would make sense to start being proactive to save the frames.
When
Whether that's practical.
It's very practical. There's actually a space down at the DPW for this, and Brutus, Chief Allen, Jimmy, this might be like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago now. He actually had in his capital plan a car wash.
He did, yeah.
He had it for this exact reason. I mean, he was, and I hate to say this, but he's probably so far ahead that it, and I mean this sincerely, it got laughed out of this room. I mean, it wasn't something that was, I don't think, taken seriously, but maybe now that we see what's happening with the apparatus, we see the pictures, maybe this is, but I will tell you, that's $1 million plus item to install a car wash down there. But it is something they did ask for, should be 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that.
Or at least, yeah, not long after that, I think that building was
I
built.
think once the pandemic hit, it came off the schedule because it just didn't feel like it was gonna get the support, but maybe it'll change in the future. We can certainly, I'm sure if he were here, he'd tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but really, but I mean, he was really into it for a while.
Oh, yes.
And we just didn't have the cash flow, but maybe that's something Chuck or Chief Allen can talk to him about, put back on the
Yeah.
plan, just to show it, because I think
Yeah.
you're right.
The
He had a
real-
space down there, and he had a area cited at the DPW garage for a car wash that in a protocol that after every shift, they were going through the car wash, all the trucks, all the fleet vehicles and everything.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. The wear and tear in these vehicles with the brine that's on the road, what's the real killer with us is, I had a long conversation with the fleet manager when we discovered this. He actually had just attended a seminar on it, and he said that one of the big reasons we have seen a lot of the rot is that for us, we pull a fire truck out into a cold environment, it gets covered in all of this road salt and the brine that's sprayed in the road. Even if we wash it off, we're putting it back in the station in a warm environment, and that environment accelerates it by 1,000%, the rusting. So just simply washing it off with a hose doesn't take the chemical off the vehicle, it stays on there, and it just keeps reactivating. So it is pretty caustic. I think that's what's been there's been a lot of lawsuits with these fire trucks against the frames, and that's really been one of the deciding factor in the Northeast that didn't come in favor of the communities, is because, you know, we have this problem with the road salt. So the manufacturer will lean back and say, you know, it's your fault, you didn't maintain it. So, you know, it kind of is what it is.
I just think it would be prudent to, I don't know, just have Brutus look at it again.
Maybe money well spent. This is $1 million, you know, for a vehicle. You know, we maintain it and take care of it. Even if you get a few more years out of it, more than you think you would. I mean, that really helps us out a lot. So.
And I assume these are stainless?
This truck we're purchasing is a stainless body with galvanized frame rails with a 25-year warranty in the frame. So that was one of the things that we were really very adamant about. Yeah.
Questions? John? Steve?
Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia Drive. Along with another preventative measure possible for consideration, the wash undercarriage, potentially that's an option. But the salt and the brine solution is being used, as I understand it, to save us from the sand and that issue, especially with EPA, et cetera. But a cost analysis of what the risk is of using the brine and the rust all the way down, or managing the sand and not using salt. there may be some safety factors as well in there, but that might be a good, interesting, you know, is it feasible? Or is it just not cost effective to take away the salt, which clearly gives us a safer road? But if we had the sand, we'd still have potentially a safer road, but maybe less corrosion on the trucks. Who should do that what if analysis? And you're the financial folks, so yeah. You may need some assistance from the staff, but that might be something worthwhile.
As I remember, the reason they went to salt was to cut down the amount of sand that we then had to take out of every catch basin in town because of MS3 or whatever
MS4.
the permitted.
Yeah,
So you
that
know,
I think would be part of that, because if there's some cost to that, then some of that may already be documented, versus the cost of the brine, now add in the cost of all the repairs and or new vehicles. What's the life cycle, what's the whole thing, get that whole picture and see what it is. It may be just, sand's just gonna wash away, fine, but
the
we
problem
don't
is it
know.
washes into the catch basins. That's the problem, you know.
And I think the other piece, like you talked about, the legal suits, it's really hard to quantify how much of that damage is attributed to what's put on the roads. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think it would be a difficult thing to quantify to a figure.
You have to also account for the street sweeping, I think, to Steve's point, and also customer feedback. I mean, I think a lot of the reason why we're doing a lot of this is to open roads up quicker, faster, more cleaner, right? It's because people, you know, society's changed, so I think part of the equation. But I think all of these comments are really, really great. I did just shoot Brutus an email about the car wash, but I think after we get the bill for this snow and ice season, you know, I'm hopeful this is a good time to kind of recalculate some of these metrics, and you know, I'm sure Bruce and Carlos will be on it. So this is all great feedback.
Harry,
Yes,
I
sure.
think John had.
John has-
is that again? John, go.
Yeah, just one more question back in the stabilization fund for the fire trucks. I'm assuming the answer here is no, but can we apply that to debt service for the fire trucks, or it has to be at purchase?
It just comes off the price. You wouldn't apply it. You would just, you know, you just take that cash. It's like a down payment on a house. You know, you don't get the mortgage on the 800,000 on a house. You get the mortgage on the 400,000 after you put it 400,000 down, right? Like,
Yeah, so it's not like we could borrow or put the full note out there and the next year say, you know what, we want to offset some of the costs of the debt service.
well, theoretically, we could do that.
We can.
Yeah, but we wouldn't want to pay all that interest anyways. But you could borrow, John, and use that money in the stabilization fund to pay down debt service in the future. You are correct.
Okay.
All set? Kerry, tell us what you want to do.
Thanks, George, I appreciate that, and as Jamie
You are the
knows, and I was
chief
very
financial
clear,
officer.
I would like to ban this for a year. I'm I have some concerns about using the stabilization fund at this time because we have future, and I'd like to build it up a little more. So for an interest payment of $22,000 next year in the operating budget, my thoughts were to ban it for $935,000. And then again, gives you a year, gives us a year, and I haven't touched those reserves.
I would agree. On a roll tonight. I would agree with Carrie, that's what I was thinking as well. Ban the full amount. I also think that depending on what the rate is for year two, if we decide to ban for year two and it jumps up, we do have the reserves there to pay down some of that, to mitigate some of that expense. But I don't think at a 3.5, it's worth it to deplete our reserves, for the first year. So that's just my opinion.
Anybody else with an opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, to the 3.5 point, and I think there's a sentiment point here as well. Like, if you have a stabilization fund and you don't use it, when the exact scenario it's for is brought up, like, it seems like then why do we bother with the stabilization fund too a bit? Maybe we don't go, you know, I think I had moved down maybe 300K, maybe it's 200K, something like that. Like, you don't go buy a house you know, putting nothing down either, so
Yeah.
maybe we use this as an opportunity to say, we do have a stabilization fund for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use at least some and pay interest on less of a total.
So when we bought the 2 trucks in '21, we used 300,000 of the stabilization fund. And we have been able to, as you can see, build it back up
Sure.
to there. Just to give you, just so you
So 5
understand, it's
years.
great things.
That was, so it took 5 years to get to that point.
It,
Yeah.
Of course, we're not putting anything in this year, just as an aside. So it's not foolproof.
It's gonna take
you
us
know.
6.
The only thing going in this year is OPEB, I think. So,
right,
yeah,
so
I
we're
mean, I
not
guess-
putting any in this year, I guess that's why
That
I'm
is
kinda,
correct. I think my recommendation would be 200K from stabilization. John's got his hand up in here.
I don't, I guess.
Maybe just an open question for all of us. Do we need some sort of plan here if we do go with the ban in terms of when we start making principal payments on this? Because if I understand this correctly, you borrow this for a year and then you basically keep rolling it until you find some permanent solution. Like if we were to do that forever, you basically never pay the principal down, right? So I'm wondering if we need some sort of clear plan to say, okay, we're gonna pay X amount of principal in year 1 at least, so we're not talking about $975,000, we're talking about $875,000 when we go and renew this thing, just food for thought.
so the first interest payment, just to answer that question, will be in November. For FY '27. And then when it matures in the spring, and they're gonna come to me and say, what would you like to do? Would you like to roll the ban, or are you gonna permanently borrow? I will have to come before the committee again. Do we use some free cash to pay down the principal? These are options.
Fair enough.
And again, John, this gives you another year to assess, and, you know, we're in a better position, rates are lower, and 3.5% is not set in stone, it's what I have to use to estimate.
Sure.
What do you guess, going up or down?
Down,
Do you think it'll go down?
yes, that's what I've been told, they're looking at short-term notes going down, so.
And this stabilization fund, if Brutus comes in with a $3 million bill for salt, sand, labor and stuff, you cannot use this on that.
No, I can use
So
the
there's
snow
no-
and ice stabilization fund.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's 700 grand in there if I remember correctly, so that'll be the first shot. But just so we know, we can't use this for anything but
A
something
fire
they're gonna
truck,
drop.
not even an ambulance, that's a whole different discussion and funding source.
Okay. So,
I'm a little torn, I feel like, at first I was like, I don't know, but thinking through what John just said about like, essentially, especially with the ban, right, you're not paying any principal down, and if we are gonna go that route, I'm almost like, do you put a little bit in just to get it down, right? I mean, you said 200, that gets you at 735, you're at like half the cost of what a real one, like if you went and got to market, right? You're like kind of putting yourself in a really good position. So I feel like maybe that does make sense, but, you know, I defer to also you being, you know, knowing the town finances the best and knowing the situations that have come before us of what's gonna happen.
So another thing, Natalie, just to understand, and I know you get this so well, doing a borrowing for $735,000 isn't a lot. I know it is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money. It is a lot of cost in fees, the issuance costs we have to think about. I have to make sure when the person goes out to do the bonding, I get a premium to help pay these issuance costs. There's a Standard & Poor's rating call that Jamie and I have to prepare for that takes a few weeks. Just
More time than we have.
more time, but again, it's important, and I'm not trying to discourage you, because this is what this is for. I'm just trying to make sure you understand, even 10 years for $735, you're like, oh, do I wanna really spread this out 10 years? But I'm trying to help with the current deficit that we're in.
Got it. No, and that puts a lot of perspective, because it does, like, instead of, like, yes, that situation of paying down puts you in a better position, but then I didn't think about that piece of like, if I'm gonna pay a lot of money and go through a lot of effort, let's just do the whole amount, like, it just makes more financial
Correct.
sense to do that.
And
So
that's why I
think
would
that
like
does give good
to,
perspective.
a bigger borrowing down the road and throw this on there.
Is even better.
We have to prepare for an S&P, we have to do this, we have, but I get more bang for my buck.
That's, okay, that's very helpful, yeah.
Our salt bill, plus Brutus's car wash.
Yes.
Plus Brutus's fire truck and van.
Yeah. Now it all makes more sense, yeah.
We can get it up there pretty
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a crazy question, what's the difference? If we use Ryan's 200,000, what does that change the
Interest
payment by? It's
So I had it
45,000?
even more than that. I did over 300,000, I brought it down to 20, I used 352,000, got it to 20,000. We used 200, it's, I don't know,
26.
Like in the middle.
26,000,
26.
yeah,
So we're talking about saving
$6 grand.
10 or 12, well,
right.
from the 45 to the 26.
Correct.
20 grand in a $165 million budget.
Every little bit helps, but it
Yeah.
also just makes sense operationally, like, I think that part really helped me be like, oh, yeah, no, that it doesn't really make sense.
Right, that's why I suggest a ban for the 935.
Got it, makes sense. I'm in agreement.
You gentlemen wanna talk about how you wanna finance this thing? Maybe we have a little pocket change perhaps?
I just have a credit card, doesn't have that big of a limit on it, so.
Pretty sure the answer they're gonna give us quickly.
Any further discussion on this?
I'm not sure if John still has it.
Oh, John again, go for it. Sorry, John, my
Yeah,
eyes out.
my opinion would be that the ban for the full amount, and if we wanna revisit principal next year, maybe that's when we decide to use stabilization funds to knock down some of the balance, or if we want to roll this into something else and have a larger, bond issuance to go out, that would make sense too, but at least that gives us the optionality next year.
Okay, which option is?
That's option one. I will say, it
So
doesn't
that's
say.
actually, the ban that is option 2, I believe.
2A.
I was wondering
2A.
what the financing is
Yep.
mentioned. So it's not really a 1 or 2, because this one says,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was trying to
It's one,
segregate
and
the
then
two.
ban is 2, but there's a 2A or the stabilization or no stabilization.
got it, okay.
Other way around, but A is no stabilization, B is with stabilization.
Okay, so 2A is what we're going to recommend. Is that right? Did I read, does that seem right?
That's what John was saying, yeah.
Okay,
Do you want me to make the motion?
that would be great.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make
Ready?
a,
Before we do that, anybody else, you guys, anybody? No? Anybody in the public out there? I don't think so. No. Okay,
so I'll make a motion to issue a borrowing anticipation note for the full amount of the $935,000 to fund the new, fire truck.
Second. Oh, roll call.
Roll
Let's start
call.
with John.
Yes.
Yes?
yes,
Ryan?
Yes.
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
You're right.
I'm glad you got that shape.
Motion approved.
Question why we have
Happy to accept.
stabilization funds, but.
he's got a good record. Last week he was picking on, last month he was picking on the seniors.
You know?
Right?
Now it's the fire department.
Everybody used to say, Mr. Chairman, that everything's always unanimous, and now we're showing people that there are different views, which is really, really healthy.
That's
It's a
what the
good- I think
finance
it's a great
committee
thing.
should do.
Right.
No question in my mind. The
Ryan,
The options
year
were
we-
looked
he's
at.
delivering on what
It's
the president's
appreciated.
want. It is.
You bundle it in a bigger, like, long-term thing, and you still pay that with the fire truck, because now it's not a fire truck.
Well, you can always pay principal, you can always put a chunk on,
Right.
or you even just.
I believe I can answer that question, yes,
Oh,
I didn't
sorry.
hear it all. No, it's okay, yes.
So like, if we bundle this together in a year.
Yeah.
Into a larger, borrowing,
Yep.
Yes,
right? Can we still use fire truck stabilization funds to
Towards
pay
that.
if it's 1 million on fire truck, but it's 30 million of some other school thing we did?
I can do that.
Yes.
But only up to some proportionality of however much the fire truck was, or like, now we've lumped them together as a fire truck?
Depends on
and
how
they were-
much is in the stabilization fund at the time and how much people decide on how much they wanna spend. You never wanna deplete your reserves either. They're very important to our AAA rating.
Sure.
So, just trying to make sure, there's a lot to this, but these are all great questions.
Thank you.
And it took me 10 years to learn, no, just.
Jamie, do you wanna just, I'm not sure we wanna go through each one of these.
Through Mr. Chairman, it's just, you know, we're at the 6-month point. It's just part of our quarterly review. We don't need to go through them. The stabilization fund balances are there. The budget tracker, which is great to have Evan, and appreciate Evan's ability to look at it. But this is basically your quarter 3 report on revenues to local receipts, stabilization fund balances, and the year-to-date in the operating budget. So if anybody has any questions, we'll answer them, but other than that, that's
Jen?
it's just that.
I've been home for a couple days because of the snow, in case you were wondering. Just a quick question, Jamie. So last meeting, maybe, I had asked about stormwater because we had moved it into our new fund fee.
Yep.
So I had asked about the funds associated with that in the operating budget, and I thought you had told me that we rolled it into snow and ice.
We did.
So that.
Well, I should take that back. I mean, it wasn't 100% of the money. We put it into road, we put it all into DPW. So I'm guessing, if I recall correctly, it was about 1.1 million roughly.
1.2, yeah.
1.2,
Yeah.
okay, and stormwater money that was moved over.
Okay.
It was moved over into roads, part of it, which
Okay.
then got cut during the overruns. So some of it went to snow and ice, and some of it went to roads,
Okay.
roughly 50-50, but not exactly.
Do you know how much it was? Do you-
Yeah, there was 600,000 in roads,
600 to
and that's
roads.
now almost all gone,
And then 600 went to.
roughly, yeah, into snow and ice. We had, there may have been, I just have to look it up, but there may
Yeah.
have been some other categories where some of that money went to. But those were the 2 big buckets.
Okay.
The snow and ice, if you recall, so we, like most cities and towns, we use a 10-year average, which to me sometimes is not the right method because look what happened. But regardless, we had used about 800,000 every year in free cash to fund snow and ice. So,
So what
the
was the
operating
budget
budget
like?
was pretty low for snow and ice.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was pretty
Okay.
low. You know, probably was around 1 million or 800,000, 900,000. I mean, we're going back now 6, 7, 8 years. And this committee actually, Sue Dusnap, Natalie brought it up, I think, for many years, like, why aren't we fully funding snow and ice? And that's where you get the 1.4 million number that we have in the budget right now. It's like 1.425 million or something like that. But we would always use, Jen, about 750, 800, 850,000 a year in snow
Out
and
of
ice
free
removal.
cash.
So our operating budget for probably the whole time Jeff was town manager, it never had the money in the budget to actually properly do snow and ice removal.
So most of this FY 2025 snow and ice stabilization is from the transfer? It's not even from
So,
stormwater transfer, not snow and ice line, but budget line?
I guess depending on how far back you wanna go and try to wordsmith it, you could make some of that case, you could. Because when we started increasing the snow and ice budget,
Yeah,
we then did the policy on the stabilization fund. And much to the chagrin of Mr. Cantareggi, which he will address next week at the council meeting, usually at the end of the year, what they would do is any unspent monies in some of those accounts, they would go do a road project to spend it so that it wouldn't go to free cash, but they would go out and do a road project that was in high demand if they had a good snow and ice year.
right.
3 years ago, I made the decision to create the stabilization fund
Jen did the process.
so that, right, so that
Yeah.
any excess snow and ice money for those last 2 or 3 years, after we made that move with stormwater, would then go to the stabilization fund for exactly this year. Everybody was saying climate change has gotten rid of winters,
Yeah.
and my farmer's almanac upbringing said there's gonna be another doozy someday. And I wish I had a few more years to pocket money away, because, probably both of the stabilization money too, so. So it is a lot of money moving around, and it's not obviously an exact dollar, but you've got the timeline.
Yeah, I was just
as well.
curious, because I remember last meeting,
Yeah.
you saying that, and I was looking at it like, wait a second, We only have 549 in there, so
Yeah.
now that it makes sense if we're not funding a snow and ice line, or
That's right.
hadn't been.
That's correct, we hadn't been,
Okay.
we weren't funding snow and ice appropriately at all.
Okay.
It was literally every year, they would spend 750, 800,000 in free cash every year,
Waiting for the flakes.
waiting for the flakes.
I'm sensing a
Thanks.
theme. Operating budget items have appeared in free cash capital requests.
Ryan, as you've picked up very quickly, what we're talking about this year is not new. This
Yeah.
has been going on for 10 to 15 years, yeah.
Although a fire truck is actually capital,
Yes,
like,
yes,
glad to
right, exactly,
see. Okay.
very observant.
Anybody else?
No, I'm done, thank you. For now.
I just had a question about the budget stabilization fund.
Mhm.
Where does that money come from?
So as part of the financial policies that we put, we determine how much we want to put into the budget stabilization fund, but due to our operating budget deficits the last few years, we have not moved money into it. So
So
Evan
that
does, sorry.
It says it went up 1.2.
So these funds, get some very nice interest, return on interest, so every month. Stabilization fund, I'm allowed to, have them in higher yields, not like I can't, usually we're very restricted on what we can invest in, but these funds I can jack it up, so like some of them get $10,000 a month in interest.
So Ryan, if you notice in FY '24, there was 3.2 million, right?
Yeah.
And then the council used $1 million in FY '25, when the schools asked for a 13% increase or whatever it was. I think that year they got a 5.2 million increase, and $1 million of it was stabilization fund. It was kind of a last minute deal in here that was made to try to make everybody as sound as we could.
Sure.
But the night they committed to use that rainy day fund in FY '25, they also, the council committed that when free cash got certified, they would replenish that account with $1 million in free cash.
Got it.
So that's why you see the $1.2 million, and then to Carrie's comment, we've invested in high yield savings accounts, so that's why the extra $250,000 came in interest.
Got it.
So that kind of makes
That makes
that
more
flush.
sense. Thank
I
you.
would note that in FY '20, we had 0 in that account. So over the last pandemic years, we've been able to, save for a rainy day. And I'll leave it at that.
It's raining.
I wish it was raining and not snowing, but.
I have a procedural question related to stabilization.
Yeah.
I think we had last time voted or recommended to put more money into the OPEB fund. And I think from our discussion in
Yeah.
previous years, maybe we hadn't done that.
Correct.
Then town council, maybe wisely or maybe accidentally, kicked the can on that and said, let's vote again later. Are we able to procedurally revisit that topic and recommend something different since they've now kicked the can on it?
You could, the free cash is still available. They did table the item technically, it's proper
Till
rules,
June or something,
to
right?
June 10th, which is the date that I would expect the budget vote to be. So once healthcare comes in May, and obviously now the snow and ice bill, and then any deficits that we may incur from leaving our self-insured consortium, those are the 3 big things that'll be laying out there in May or June. And so, they didn't accidentally do it. I requested to say, it's, you may want to consider postponing this deposit until you know that all your other bills are paid.
Right.
And I didn't say that at the time where I predicted all the snow in the last 2 weeks, but I think their intent, and I think we'll hear about this on May 13th. Our OPEB actuarial will do the report at the council meeting, and we're still far ahead of most communities, but obviously we've kind of plateaued. So I think when you go through budget hearings, Ryan, and maybe even one of your May meetings, I'm guessing by then we'll have certainly the snow and ice numbers, but I'm hoping to have a better understanding when we get to May, obviously with healthcare and whether we need that money or not. But to that point, if the finance committee wanted to not recommend an OPEB deposit, you could certainly recommend that those funds of free cash to be appropriated somewhere else, for a capital item or the operating budget or anything else that folks may want.
So maybe we can just add that to the agenda for our meeting in May
Yep.
to revise or review at least our recommendation, just so that they're
Sure.
not using a dated recommendation.
Yep.
We work out of alignment. And then I had one receipts question, if we're okay to move to that section.
Mhm.
Up the floor.
The fines and forfeits seem way down this year. Are we not fining, who needs to be fined? Who are we not fining?
Sent it in the streets.
Sometimes it's tiny,
Okay,
when dog licenses get sent out, or, that kind of thing. It
So-
depends on what,
Is that excise tax and?
well, no, that motor vehicle is separate, so as you can see, fines and forfeits is a
But-
little different.
But if they don't pay for it, is that where that goes?
No, it
Okay.
doesn't, it goes to
Okay.
the motor
Goes back
vehicle,
to
yeah,
the-
yeah, yeah. But I can I don't know off the top of my head why, but
sure.
I wanna say dog license don't go, get billed or sent out in April, so that is definitely.
It just came out.
March, I was gonna
Oh,
say
did it?
February,
Oh,
March.
came out with the
I think
census.
maybe last month,
Yeah, it goes over the summer.
but that goes in fines and forfeits?
No?
Yeah,
Nope,
I don't
right.
think that's not the whole amount.
Right.
There's no way the town clerk.
So I have to, I could dig down deeper and,
Yeah, just
Okay.
curious, that one
Mhm.
kinda stood out as like quite low.
do we need to, go after some people? Yes.
Yeah,
understood.
hopefully it's just a timing thing.
Yep.
but, Okay, that was.
Some of those buckets make up more than one thing, so I would just have to drill
Sure.
down on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for
Good.
that question.
No worries.
Go ahead, no, go
Okay,
ahead.
on the snow, cause this year, so if we end up being on this budget year, like $1 million over, even if we deplete this whole thing, that starts going as an immediate deficit on your next year budget?
That is correct,
Okay.
because, yes, we have to work with Department of Revenue. Wow, Natalie, you listen. That, we have to put that on the, recap sheet, and they deduct it from our free cash next year.
Got it, okay.
Yep. And we will be prepared to present all of this to you and town council when we know the final number.
Got it, okay.
We'll tell you about options and how we're going to cover.
You know, I don't know where it stands, but I'm hopeful that, there's some other colleagues of ours that are in other towns that have been hit even harder, that they would try to ask the governor. I mean, the biggest issue here is, obviously nobody's gonna count on FEMA assistance. So in 2022, we had a pretty bad winter, and, the federal administration put out money for FEMA for these types of disasters. I haven't even heard of a decision to even file for a FEMA claim. Some people even wonder if FEMA exists. I don't think we actually know, because I haven't heard their name. I haven't heard their name in any other natural disaster in America in like the last 8 months, since the Texas emergency that was down there on the camp on the river. So, that's a big problem, right? Because most of these storms would always be covered by FEMA assistance in some sort of appropriation. So even if it's a couple $100,000, and you may get it a year and a half later, the way the finances with DOR works, we would still get credit for that, and we wouldn't have to spend the money. But, obviously, we're not counting on that at all. So that's a pretty big, that's a substantial change. And then that puts the financial onus on the governor and lieutenant governor, if they're gonna do some sort of one-time package with one-time revenues, and that's hard, because that competes against our municipal interests on UGA and Chapter 70 and other things. You can only ask for so much. But I'm hopeful at some point, the MMA or other groups ask for a package from them come April, to say we can use some relief. That would help us a significant amount.
Thanks, so, thank you.
I think I found your fines and whatnot.
I was just gonna, did you go back to Linda?
Miscellaneous went up 900%
And
last
I'm just
night.
like in the wrong line.
Oh, is that
It's about what's
So
down in the
miscellaneous
yellow.
captures a lot of things that you can't.
Miscellaneous.
So, miscellaneous. So there's sometimes some insurance items that have to come in there, there's some big ticket items that come into the unclassified revenue account. And we provide Department of Revenue with a list of what each item is, so. It
So
ranges
not fines
from-
and forfeits then.
It's not.
also looks good, but not fines and forfeits.
Is there anything here that has you staying awake at night?
The whole, yeah.
Even on this.
I mean, I didn't always have this color hair. I mean, yeah, the whole thing is a little low, I think.
Yeah.
I was concerned with December's numbers. They're not in,
On the receipts?
yeah. Mhm.
Am I incorrect thinking that it's largely driven by the excise, motor vehicle excise tax that just
So
went
it
out?
is largely driven, which you know, most of you know, got your bill,
Yeah,
right?
last
And that's
week,
due in March, but, so it's gonna be around 5.9 million.
Right.
So I already know that. It's the meals that are not high as I would like them. It's, you know, license and permits,
Yep.
not as high as I would like them at this time. I think it's going to be fine eventually, because I know there's some big ticket items that are gonna be deposited. There was also, recreation always does well, that's not my concern. Interest on investment, I'm constantly watching that. I don't know what,
Sure.
hopefully they're earning interest, but I have to make that number. That's the other thing that keeps me up.
So encourage everybody to eat out in Franklin and eat local once the snow's gone. Go out and enjoy yourself at every Franklin restaurant, and just remember you're helping fund your town services as well. It's
Yes, I appreciate you going to McDonald's before you.
Oh, that's meals tax.
Twice.
Twice. Meals tax.
Thank you.
Then I'll move the same question to the budget.
Yeah.
Anything there that's sticks out that we ought to be aware of?
The big five, always, fire, police, facilities. Facilities is, you know, Kevin's doing an excellent job, but we're constantly monitoring that. He's had some, repairs that had to be made, at numerous buildings. And again, this is what we talk about when we say we need to have a capital plan, because we have to maintain these buildings, because these one-offs, these emergencies that are happening, at the schools and our municipal buildings hit the facilities budget.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't think there's anything on here that's widely concerning right now, except for what Kerry pointed out is, you get a water heater that breaks over here, you get this over there, you got a little leak in a vent over here, this breaks over here. You know, some of those recently in the last month, you know, the unforeseen things that are $7 grand, $8 grand, 15 grand, you know. But you can still see even in the public property budget, they're still under where they would be at the halfway mark. So that's still a good sign, and I think it's because we've had a couple of staffing vacancies for 4 or 5 months that have been able to make that okay, so. There's nothing glaring in here that's concerning us, that's like an emergency right now.
How about the library budget? I'll caveat that. I just had a niece hired there, and I just wanna make sure she has a job at the end of the year. And absolutely.
The
just
library
as-
director is very cautious of her budget and doing an excellent job.
Well, I can't tell you how excited the employee is.
Yeah,
She is
they're a wonderful
absolutely
group to work for.
through over the moon to be there.
Yeah.
So, and the attitude, she tells me, is she worked in a library in Southborough and then came here, and she is absolutely, well, it's, one of the big schools.
It's there, it's there.
Yeah, not the public schools.
Nope, you're right.
Yeah, she was just,
St. Mark's,
well,
or Fay, or one of them.
she came here in December and her job up there got laid off. They hired him and then 2 weeks later laid him off, so ecstatic to be here, just love it.
I think the one issue with the library is they're about 25,000 over the minimum state requirement. So they're, you know, there's no more room for them. They're done, unless people wanna get on the nasty list, which some of you may not know about, but I know George does. So they're in good shape, but, you know, they're very close to going under that state requirement, which would be a big deal.
You know what the nasty list is, if you don't spend enough money, and they don't let you count the millions and millions of dollars we put into that building.
Right.
then you can't borrow from out of the lab. A Franklin Library member cannot go to another, the Medway Library. Part of
The Minuteman
is the
Network.
Minuteman Network.
Minuteman.
So you can't have like a
borrow.
shell library where you actually use all the towns around you and have a small hut you call your
Yeah,
library.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That
like
makes
a
sense.
46 community network, I mean, it saves everybody tons of money and gives everybody much more access, obviously, so. Yeah, but once you go under MAR, you get on that list and then you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then it's endless amounts of, it's funny that the state then makes you fill out an endless amount of paperwork, so it feels like they're just like punching you while you're down. You're like, wait, we can't afford this, and now you're making us do more work. So it is, and then you're to the list of communities that people generally say, well, I don't wanna be on that list, which is sad, so. We're close, but they're doing fantastic, and they manage their budget very, very well, and, hopefully we can stay above water.
Caitlin says she can't believe how busy she is, which is a difference from St. Mark's.
St. Mark's, yeah.
Oh, Library's best, yeah, it's always bumping.
Yep,
Yep.
it really is.
They were closed yesterday and still open. You know, but really, there was just still, you know, a small parking lot full of people dropping off books and, you know.
They haven't shoveled the front steps. Where's Brutus when we need him?
Oh.
We lost track.
Yeah,
Just
More
like-
questions or maybe-
No. All right, I'll bring it up and then I'll let you take it. Brian made an interesting comment to us all. We approved tier one with lots of discussion of his point about the $920,000. And, you know, it was as good a discussion as we can have. His suggestion was that perhaps a member or two of this committee ought to be present to answer questions at the council meeting. So,
5 thumbs
I'll
up.
do that.
Sherlock, Helen, and Bertoni. Yep.
Yeah, that was Brian saying, hey, if
That's a
we're
great
gonna be
idea.
found guilty, let's at least put up a
Show up.
defense, right?
Show up.
More or less.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, is how, any idea of the mechanics of it?
Just show up.
Yep. So you'll know,
Really?
you'll know when it's on their agenda,
Yeah.
just like they go out on Fridays. So I would do it during citizens'
No,
comment.
they could just.
Oh,
yeah,
during
or
that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the agenda, so if the item's on the agenda,
That's
the
right.
chair won't let you
Sorry.
do it under citizen comments, but I think you just, you know, I think you come up to the mic and say, you know, I'm so-and-so, I'm representing the finance committee, and we're here to answer any questions that people may have about our finance committee discussion, or you could
And maybe more
actually just say whatever you want. You could say, you know, I'm here
At
with.
the point of the 920 again.
Well, I think mechanically, maybe when we do vote on a recommendation, if we can also at that point nominate like the person who will be bringing
You'll enjoy
that
it.
to whatever, and an alternate or something, and then those two people can converse, so we don't have some email chain that we aren't allowed to email
Yeah.
on.
So hard.
Like, but then like two people know that between them, at least one needs to show up at that town council meeting. And like, just that way we kind of nominate.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
that was a good idea.
Perfect.
And thank you,
First
Jamie,
meeting
for covering
maybe
me in the last
next
town
week.
council. I did watch the recap. Thank you for
I did.
acknowledging that none of us hate seniors. That was not a discussion at all.
No, actually, and I mean this sincerely, that was funny, but I think having someone show up, I think narratives get out there and people make up all sorts of baloney, right? And so having somebody there and saying, just because we didn't support something, like the bonding tonight, right? Like, there's differing opinions. We have to get out of the space of like, if you're not with us, you're against us, if you're against us, you're not with, I'm against you, like, and I think that, that's what I was trying to convey that night, is like, even if there was some dissent, like,
Explain
you,
the
you have to,
dissent.
well,
Yeah,
not only
it's-
just explain it, but like, just, it's okay.
And I
You
think
know, it
the other
doesn't
thing is
mean
just,
people
like,
hate schools or seniors or firefighters or paramedics, like, in fact, it's just the inverse, right? It's actually the inverse. Everyone I know, cause I hear it from everybody, really does value everything we're doing, you know, and sometimes there's just a disagreement, and I think people have to be able to work better with, you know, votes that are 5-4, 6-3, or that they disagree. Doesn't against everybody.
I think even on a 9-0,
Right.
we might be able to help them, like, not to throw stones at our town council, but they had to do some motion in the last one to extend past 10 PM, like,
Right.
they're taking forever. If we can short circuit some of their conversations by saying, hey, we already had 3 hours of our own on this, here's some quick bullets. Maybe the department heads can spend a little less time rehashing the same topics. Town council can leave before midnight, like, I don't know, it just feels like we have enough new members across all of our different town things that maybe that'll help speed it up.
I think some members have been watching, I think they acknowledged it that night too, I'm trying to get them information, you know, like I sent them the capital plan a couple weeks in advance, and, you know, I know everybody's new, you know, I have been trying to put the YouTube clips, like in some of my, you know, memos, so they can maybe watch that for an hour. But I agree with you, it has been an issue with subcommittees about duplicity of information, right? And I think one of the difficulties with institutional knowledge and just knowledge is, I think everybody's realizing, I think you are too, there's just a lot of information, right? To just pick up and learn to make good decisions. And so, I think it's a great idea for folks to show up, at the council meetings. I think it's a great idea.
People don't understand that municipal finance is very different than financing a house or a car, or how you move things around or can't move things around. That's, well, just, you got the money there, use it. It's not quite that simple. Because somebody in Boston yelled, Jamie's yawning. Is that, been a long week, has it, sir?
It's just part of who I am by this point. It's just like these guys, just like.
So I had one other, I guess I had a couple comments, but one other like future agenda item or something for us to figure out, and I think we were talking about this, is like, we have a number of new members. Is there a way we can put like a Friday during the workday session on the book to go through before we start the budget process? Like what is about to happen? Like I'll say, I don't know what we're about to do, right? Trying to get information 2 days before and like hope I don't have a busy workday the next day, like isn't necessarily the best approach. So like something where we could walk through like, here is what we should be reviewing beforehand, here are the things that like should come under greater discussion, like hopefully Carrie and Evan can walk us through a lot of that, but also trying to do that like during their workday, not in the middle of the night.
Is that subject to open meeting law?
If it's a quorum of folks, yeah. I
We probably
mean,
have to post a meeting.
Yeah, I would have to post it.
Yeah.
That's, it's not
Workshop meeting,
That's relevant to
whatever.
mine.
Council does it, I
Right,
think,
as
for
long as I
goals.
post.
it's like an orientation,
Mhm.
I mean,
Okay.
I think it's very helpful. As a former member of the finance committee, I had no idea what was expected of me.
And I guess just to add to that, like, I would love to spend a couple years learning. I just don't think the town has a couple years for all of us to learn while the budget just crashes and dies, and then we end up on whatever it was that, you know, date of death, and the DOR takes over the town, like.
We don't say that out loud.
And you can learn until then,
But
but
we have
we
to,
should
right, yeah.
learn before that,
Yeah.
to try
This
to,
ain't quite learned.
you know, avoid.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we might be able to open up a community-wide orientation. Maybe it's another opportunity to do something the week before the budget hearing, so they're not at night. And happy to try to orient people. It is a lot of info. It's some people, Mr. Sherlock, Chief Allen, Deputy Chief Glitch, you know, 8 years ago, people said we don't put enough information out, no one knows what's going on, so we loaded up and now people are like, where's the one-page clip notes? So I think an orientation, you know, would probably be beneficial. I'll think about when and how to do that. It's a good question.
Did I hear you say open it to the public?
I think you have.
Did I
I mean, I think
understand?
if it's a posted.
Well, it's a meeting, so you have to,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I mean, we could do a brown bag.
publicize what we're gonna do, and then
I don't know, when it's
workshop,
like,
no issue.
appreciate the laughter on that.
But it's like
I don't know,
no
it's
votes
just
or,
like-
Oh, no.
yeah, there won't be any votes taken, or you're not gonna approve any minutes, or just, it's just gonna be show up and learn. Brown bag.
Questions like, what the hell is, put it on.
Fill in the acronym, right? OPEB, sure. Yeah, we can try that.
And then, I guess just before we adjourn, I had just 2 other comments. I was able to visit the senior center after the last meeting. I didn't get attacked on the way in, and I got a much better understanding of the building. I'd never been in there before. Very nice building, doing a ton of stuff, like really awesome. Never been there, so it was cool. Thank you, and if they watch this, thank you for having me and inviting me in and spending 4 hours with me or whatever it was. And then the same to Carrie and Evan, who also indulged me on an afternoon for a couple hours in discussion about some of these different topics. So that's been really great. It's great.
Too bad we don't know, maybe we'd all learn something.
I can't tell you we're invited. We'll break all these rules.
Well, I go to the senior center every Thursday morning.
Yeah, okay.
After the meeting, I thought nobody watched. The first question out of this group's, and they all look like me, okay, for the most part. The first question out of their mouths was, are they gonna not fix the sprinkler and we're gonna be closed? No, that's not what ended up. That was a good, solid discussion of alternatives. That's all that was. Well, you know,
I hope you're still going back on Thursday.
I go tomorrow morning.
Oh, good. For the debrief.
It's actually, Jamie's been to those meetings, it's,
I've
10, 12.
spoken at those meetings.
yeah, 10, 12
Yeah.
plus senior citizens who are at the senior center, of which I am now a member as of last week. Just discussing everything from Donald Trump to Jamie Allen.
Oh,
Wide range.
my goodness.
Right.
Sounds
That
like
is,
us.
but he comes up all the time. Hey,
Yeah.
What time does this
why does he
happen,
need an
George?
assistant?
It's like 9 a.m.
9, oh, that's early,
10
I'll see what I
o'clock.
can do.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
10 o'clock Thursday discussion.
Oh, 10.
Yeah, why does Trump? need
It's
this?
10?
10 o'clock Thursday discussion.
And have a little breakfast at
No.
Just kidding.
I feel like I know the common
It was
theme
just
out of
a
that.
All right,
Big
we've
bears.
gone off the rails. Anybody else comments, questions? Go for it.
So, I heard you mention, Bill for leaving the insurance
Oh, yeah, I got it.
consortium.
Oh, healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare, sorry. Did we get a final bill? Cause I know yeah, cause that can take some time.
6 months. I mean, we won't really be out of it until December of this year, maybe October. It's just the delay in payments, the delay
Yeah.
in rebates, the delay, like all, the stop loss ratio, like all that insurance
Yeah,
takes, all summer usually, and usually 4 or 5 months. I mean, we'll have a pretty good number, probably in May or June. We'll have a range.
yep.
In May or June of what that might be, and
When was there a drop date on the coverage?
it's June 30th.
It is June 30th.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything with everything with, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but everything within our healthcare, has always been June 30th, July 1st, and GIC is the same. So, once open enrollment is in April, I think tomorrow the GIC is gonna vote on the rates and the plan design. Across the board, pretty much across the board, GLP-1s are getting reduced out of most healthcare plans. Blue Cross has dropped them, for non-diabetic, Harvard Pilgrim's dropped them. The consortium we're leaving just voted the other day to drop them. Obviously the cost, it's in the news all the time. We should have open enrollment in April. And then sometime before Memorial Day, I hope for the town council budget hearings, I'll have good numbers on subscribers.
Yeah,
And then we'll also have a good idea going into the home stretch, Heartbreak Hill, at the end of the fiscal year, we'll have a good idea of like where we stand within a range of what a deficit. Highly doubt it, but it could be a surplus too. Again,
Love your
healthcare, yeah, I mean,
okay.
as
And
you
do
know, purchasing healthcare demand is through the roof, right? So I doubt that's the case, but,
Where do you put that somewhere?
but what?
That projected bill in our, where do you pay that
It's
from?
nowhere in anything you have. It'll be hopefully I'll get a range by about May.
Yep.
But I won't have any real bill until June 30th, because they're gonna go all the way up to the last day. And then there's delays after that where I've myself and the HR director have to watch, because we're leaving the consortium, so we lose a vote. So are there gonna be rebates counted towards it? Is there gonna be stop loss? So ultimately, I'm guessing a deficit probably won't be looked at until late June, July, August, I'm guessing,
Okay.
assuming there's a deficit.
And then my only other thing was future agenda items. I would love information on grants and any information about the grants, our process for applying for grants, how we cross-check project schedules, so what we have in the town for municipal projects, and how we're looking to see what grants may potentially apply for those projects. And I don't know if we have a project schedule that we have or whatnot, but just kind of our process on grants and what that looks like, and how we're cross-checking potential projects in town with grant funding.
Sure.
Thank you.
It's a great
Anybody
topic.
else, future agenda items? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in-
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Last one, John?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
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 motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
everyone.
We are now producing this in collaboration with Franklin TV and Franklin Public Radio. This podcast is my public service effort for Franklin, but we can't do it alone. We can always use your help. How can you help? If you can use the information that you find here, please tell your friends and neighbors. If you don't like something here, please let me know. Through this feedback loop, we can continue to make improvements. And I thank you for listening. For additional information, please visit franklinmatters.org. If you have questions or comments, you can reach me directly at suresteve@gmail.com. The music for the intro and exit was provided by Michael Clark and the group East of Shirley. The piece is titled Ernesto Mañana, copyright Michael Clark and Tintype Tunes in 2008, and used with their permission. I hope you enjoy. By the way, you can also subscribe and listen to Franklin Matters Radio on your favorite podcast app. Search in podcasts for Franklin Matters.